are going to be watching South Korea video from kurzgesagt in a nutshell. I have seen their few videos before. They are pretty good, honestly, really informative and really different from other channels. The animation is always sick as well. But let's see why they are saying that South Korea is over.
South Korea is over. This sounds brutal, but South Korea will soon start melting on all fronts.
Oh,
demographically, economically, socially, culturally, and militarily.
Oh, really?
Because for decades, the country has been experiencing a fertility crisis unprecedented in human history. And we've probably reached a point of no return.
Yeah, I heard about this, that South Korea is paying many foreigners or tourists or many people to come to South Korea and have babies, and they are actually paying them a lot of money.
By 2060, the South Korea we know and love today will no longer exist.
2060, bro, what is that? Where are we now? 2025? Damn, we don't got much time, dude.
What will the collapse look like? And why is it now almost impossible to stop?
Yeah, why they
The
are
real
not doing anything
population
about
bomb. To have a stable population, you need a fertility rate of about 2.1 children per woman. In the 1950s, South Koreans used to have 6 children on average.
Too
In
many?
the 1980s, the rate fell below 2.
Oh.
And in
Now
2023,
they don't even
it
have
was
any.
0.72
Yeah,
kids per
barely a
woman,
one.
the lowest ever recorded in history. In Seoul, fertility is even lower, around 0.55. On average,
I just feel like overall, this generation just don't want kids. Honestly, that's what I see everywhere. Like many people, like the Gen Z, especially I'm talking about, they really don't want any. They really don't want kids, bro. I think so. That's what the problem is. I mean, I'm not saying these guys are Gen Z or as well. They are pretty old, at least pretty old, not Gen Zs, But I just feel like people nowadays just don't want kids.
average, about half of the women here won't have any kids, and the other half just one. What do these numbers actually mean in the real world? If fertility stays as it is, then 100 South Koreans will have 36 kids. When they grow up, they will have 13 kids, who will then have 5. Within 4 generations, 100 South Koreans will turn into 5.
Damn, that is so low.
If we look at today's South Korean population pyramid, we see this is pretty real. There's only one 1-year-old for 4 50-year-olds. After 4 decades below the replacement level, the consequences were still largely invisible. Today, South Korea's population is at an all-time high, as are its workforce and its GDP, which is still growing. But demographics hits you like a freight train. You hear it vaguely in the distance, and then it runs you over. South Korea is about to be hit. Let's time travel 35 years into the future to 2060 and see what the country will look like then. When it comes to demographics, the most commonly used projections are those put together by the UN. They envisage 3 scenarios: low fertility, medium, and high. But in the past, all medium UN projections for South Korea have consistently been too positive. Between 2022 and 2023 alone, fertility in South Korea dropped by another 8%. So we're going to use the latest low fertility scenario, which has been the most accurate in the last few years. Keep in mind that we're still talking about projections, and the future is a faraway land. Okay, let's do it. In 2060, South Korea's population pyramid will look like this. The population will have shrunk by 30%. 16 million South Koreans will have disappeared in just 35 years. And it'll be the oldest country in human history. 1 in 2 South Koreans will be over the age of 65. Less than 1 in 10 will be under 25. And only 1 in 100 will be small children.
Damn, bro, so you won't even see, like, if you in 2016 you visit South Korea, you won't see any children at all, dude. It will be like, oh, children exist in this country too? Like, it will be like shocking to see a children there, huh?
Imagine waking up in a country where the streets are strangely quiet with
like there will be no one playing in the playgrounds, no one doing anything, what the kids activity, you get what I mean. There won't be any places where kids can play, or which are run by kids or run because of the kids. Many stores, many toy stores, many gaming or anything like that. You can say all these consoles companies. You can say Sony, PlayStation, Xbox, all that. Of course, kids start playing that, or all that. Like, of course, all these old 56-year old people won't really play it. So all this stuff will be gone.
No children playing on them.
Yeah.
Entire cities have been abandoned. Half of the population is elderly and living either alone or in overcrowded retirement homes,
True.
with a minority of people desperately trying to keep society running.
True.
There will be a few major consequences. Economic collapse.
Yeah.
In
Bro, Korea economy is collapsing already. This is so true, bro.
2023, a breathtaking 40% of South Koreans over 65 live below the poverty line. But in 2060, this number may seem lovely in comparison. Today, South Korea has one of the largest pension funds in the world, worth about 730 billion US dollars. But it's projected to stop growing in the 2040s and be completely depleted by the 2050s. So in 2060, pensions will have to be paid by the working population. Estimates vary, but for a pension system to work, the minimum a society needs is between 2 to 3 workers per retiree paying for them with their taxes. But even if we assume that all South Koreans over 15 will be working in 2060, the country will have less than 1 worker per senior. Workers will be unable to stem the incredible costs. So not only will poverty among the elderly be common, but a big chunk will be forced to work. Except they may not be able to find jobs because by 2060, the South Korean economy may have collapsed.
Damn.
Broadly speaking, the size of an economy is linked to the size of its workforce. To have a big economy, you need a lot of workers to produce a lot of things and a lot more people to buy them.
Right.
Today, South Korea has about 37 million people of working age, generating a GDP of about 1.7 trillion US dollars.
Okay.
But by 2060, its workforce would have shrunk to less than half,
Wow.
to about 17 million.
Wow.
Of course, technological progress means that productivity will be higher and each individual will probably produce more than today. But even if productivity keeps growing at the same rate or more than we've seen in the last decades, South Korea's GDP could peak in the 2040s. In other words, South Korea will enter a permanent economic recession. There are more optimistic projections that see the recession begin as late as 2050, but they're based on the medium UN demographic scenario,
okay.
and there are no signs that we're heading there.
Okay.
Another factor in the economy is science, technology and innovation, areas in which big leaps are typically made by young adults and the middle-aged. Young people have fresh ideas that contribute to the wealth of society.
True.
Significantly fewer people working also means way less tax for the government, which will be trapped between a rock and a hard place. On the one hand, having to provide for half the population that are seniors, on the other, seeing its income diminish. It will be forced to shut down or cut essential services like hospitals or social benefits. Since infrastructure only works at scale, smaller communities may be abandoned as the country contracts into its metropolitan areas. And of course, there won't be enough money to invest in the future. This is bad. But what will happen to South Korean society and culture may be worse. Societal and cultural collapse. Speculating on how societies will develop is extra hard, but there are a few pretty unavoidable trends. Today, already about 20% of Koreans live alone. Also, 20% report having no close friends or relatives. By 2060, 50% of South Koreans aged 70 will have no siblings and 30% will have no children. Young adults between 25 and 35 will only make up 5% of the population and typically have no siblings at all. This leaves the elderly with almost no close family and young adults with little family and few potential friends, especially outside of big cities. A loneliness epidemic of epic proportions is all
that
but
is
guaranteed. On top of that, South Korean culture will probably experience a huge decline. In 2000, there were 17.5 million South Koreans between 25 and 45, and they made up 37% of the population.
Okay.
This was the generation that brought us K-pop, K-drama,
Right.
K-food, and many other trends
love
that spread around
K-dramas.
the world. In 2060, there will be just 5.6 million people in that
wow.
age group, and they'll only be 16% of the population.
Very less.
Many cultural traditions are already struggling because the older generations are having trouble finding young people to pass them on to.
Right.
As young people disappear, many traditions will die out. Without young people, the soul of South Korean culture will shrink and
Bro, without the young people, no country can survive. No country can run, dude. Just by old people, you cannot run any country. Youngsters are the force of running a country, dude.
wither away. And on a personal level, what kind of experience will it be growing up in 2060? What will youth culture be like in a country of seniors, where many universities, schools and kindergartens are abandoned as there are no longer children to fill them with life? What kind of job prospects will they face, and what will politics look like? If young people don't want to remain alone, they'll concentrate in Seoul or a few other big cities, or worse for South Korea, emigrate to other countries.
True.
Rural areas will decline, and most smaller cities will turn into ghost towns. We're already seeing this in Japan, which has almost 10 million abandoned houses in rural areas.
Damn.
Large parts of South Korea will simply vanish and be reclaimed by nature. Last but not least, South and North Korea are technically at war, and they could very well still be in 2060.
Okay.
Will South Korea still be able to afford to have its young men do 18 months of mandatory military service?
Yeah.
Today, 5% of men of combat age are enrolled in the military. In 2060, it would have to be 15% just to match today's numbers.
But it's gonna drop.
Okay, wait. This is all a bit much. Is there no way back? Why, there
There gotta be a way back, right?
really is no way back.
Oh.
The problem with the demographic freight train is that once it hits, things become irreversible. Let's say fertility in South Korea magically triples to the replacement rate of 2.1 children per woman
Okay.
and stays there.
Okay.
In 2060, it will be an inverted pyramid on top of a barrel. And there would still be only 1.5 people of working age per senior over 65. Even in the best made-up scenario, South Korea has to pass through an unavoidable bottleneck before it will recover. But there is also a kernel of hope here. Yes, the situation is grim, but at least in the long term, recovery is possible if South Korea enacts rapid and societal changes that make its population want to have kids again. In
Kids have
2024,
kids.
births rose for the first time in 9 years, 3% more than in 2023.
Oh.
But for that to continue, South Korea needs to face the music and ask how they got to this point. How could it get that bad? In general, as societies get richer, more educated and child mortality plummets, people decide to have fewer kids. What makes South Korea special is that it's somehow supercharging all of these trends. South Korea lifted itself out of poverty in record time, but in doing so it developed a unique kind of workaholism and extreme competitiveness. Although the work week
Even in
is 40
Japan, I
hours
think
and the
so.
legal maximum is 52 per week, unpaid overtime is normal for many, and the government even proposed to raise legal work time to 69 hours per week.
Damn.
Despite this, South Korea has relatively low wages and a high cost of living. Real estate in big cities is out of reach for most people. The cost of education is extremely high, since families have to pay for private lessons if they want to send their kids to a high-tier college. All of this while South Korea spends less on family benefits than most other rich countries. Old-fashioned cultural norms make matters even worse. Marriage is all but mandatory if a couple wants to start a family. In 2023, only 4.7% of babies were born to unmarried women. Out of all developed countries, South Korean men do just about the least share of housework and childcare within their families. This leaves women with a disproportionate amount of work if they want to keep their jobs after a pregnancy, while many men are overwhelmed by the societal expectation to be the main breadwinner and have successful careers. Starting a family or not is a personal decision, and most South Koreans are deciding
It's
against
so hard. I mean,
The bottom line is that South Korea has created a culture that leads to very few
yeah.
kids. Conclusion. Demographic collapse is not an abstract thing in the future, it's happening right now. And it's not just South Korea. In 2023, China had a fertility rate of 1, Italy and Spain 1.2, Germany 1.4, the UK 1.6, and the US 1.6. Which sounds so much better, doesn't it? Well, after 4 generations, a fertility rate of 1.6 means 60% fewer new people. A fertility rate of 1.2 means 87% fewer people. And fertility rates are still falling with no sign of stabilization or recovery. The weirdest thing about all of this is that almost nobody involved in the public discourse has truly grasped the gravity of the situation. The last century was utterly dominated by overpopulation narratives, and people who say that we need more kids seem weird. And if you do the maths, the future just seems to be too insane to be true, like it's hard to believe. None of this has ever happened before.
Right.
So, low birth rates are mostly discussed in the context of worker shortages, not as the existential threat to our societies, cultures, wealth, and our way of life that they are. If we don't take it seriously very soon and change the DNA of our modern societies in a way that encourages young people to start having children again, then the rest of the century will be pretty grim for those of us who will live through it. The demographic freight train stops for nobody.
Right.
We finally need to realize that it's hurtling down the tracks right at us.
Wow, W video, man. This video, like many countries need to watch this video. Like, you know, the main guys, the heads, they need to watch this video clearly, dude. Imagine chilling on YouTube and then found a video saying that your country is our. Yeah, that is insane. That would, yeah, like anytime, yeah, that is sad. Someone said if you neglect the economical needs of younger people, you get less younger. True. Like, I feel like, you know, like governments are just caring too much about these freaking wars and just too much about AI and random BS, rather than just, you know, like really thinking about the little bit about future and stuff. You know, like younger people are the future. Youngsters are the future, dude. Like you won't be there whole years. Is he sharing some undiscovered knowledge? It's not about like really undiscovered knowledge, it's just facts, dude. But the overall, the, you know what the lesson from this video is, have more kids. Whichever country you live in, have more kids. I know it says South Korea is over, but at the end of the video they really showed that many countries will be over soon, but South Korea is the first one who's gonna be over soon if they don't start having kids. They need to start right now, you know. So like this sucks, dude. I feel like many president or prime minister, I don't know who are with the kids and all that organization for each country need to watch this video. This was really good video, dude. Like I was feeling kind of sleepy or, you know, kind of boring, because on top of that no one was watching or anything, you know, with me. But this video really was interesting, like, you know, like, okay, like wake up, like, well, having kids is only problem for some countries. Yeah, they only showed few countries, which included US, China, and I think so Germany or some countries like that. But those country was on the, you know, at the last, but on the first list it was South Korea. And what they showed about everything, what can happen if you don't have kids or if you don't have younger generation, it's like you're cooked. Like the country is gone, dude. The country is abandoned. And many Koreans are in the comments here and they are saying like, I'm Korean, born, raised in Korea. After watching this, I sat in silence for a while. Dude, that is sad. Not because it shocked me, but because it said out loud what so many of us are already deep inside. It's too late. Yeah, like there's no fixing this anymore, especially for Korea. There's no fixing in it. Like they should have done it long time ago. The countries who are experiencing this they are just overloading the youngsters. They are overloading the couples with work. Like they showed in Korea, they have like 60, almost 59 to 60 hours a week they have to work. How will they take out time to goddamn have time for their kids, or actually at least make kids, you know? It's not just you say I want kid and boom, it's here, boom, done, finish, okay, there you have it, and it just grows up, you know? Like it's a freaking such a long process. And if you have all this work, how the hell you gonna take care? So this guy says, I'm in my early 30s now, living in Seoul, working a job that consumes most of my time and energy. There you go. I went to good university, did everything right according to our society standards, okay, but I feel like I'm running on empty. Every day feels like a survival, not life. Damn, bro. Especially these two countries, Japan and Korea, they are going through this too way too much. Korea's government throws money at us, baby bonuses. Oh really? Baby bonuses, housing incentives, free childcare, but it all feels like putting a tiny bandage on a broken system. No amount of money can fix the reality we live in. The pressure to succeed starts when you are a toddler and never ends. Damn. Our school system is brutal. Our work culture glorifies sacrifice and burnout. True. Taking a break is seen as weakness. Taking a break is seen as weakness is crazy, dude. Saying no is disrespectful. So you grow up being told that your worth is based on your productivity, bro. Marriage, kids, they are not even dreams anymore. Wow, they are burdens. My friends and I talk more about escaping the country than building a family. Who wants to bring a child in a world where they'll just suffer the same way we did or worse? Damn. And honestly, we are tired of pretending we are okay. We are tired of being told that it's our duty to save the nation by having children when the nation never cared about our well-being at the first place. So true, bro. We didn't get affordable housing, fair jobs, or mental health support. But now we are expected to sacrifice for the next generation. Wow, fact. The saddest part is that even those who want to have kids feel they can't. Yeah. Like if even if you want to, they can't, bro. This 24/7 running shit is just taking toll at them, bro. Not in this environment, not with these expectations. People say maybe things will get better, but how? Korea has had decades to change, but instead it doubled down in competition, image, and control. I love my country, but I don't trust it anymore. The gap between the people and policy makers is too wide. The policies are written by older men who never lived like us. Yeah, like the leaders of all these countries are old guys. They don't know a shit anymore, like how everything runs now. Never felt this hopelessness. Yeah, and by the time real change comes, if it never ever does, it's too late. Yep. This isn't just a crisis of numbers, crisis of spirit. We are not just we are despairing in hope. Man,